So for those of you that are avid Korean drama watchers like I am, we've all had that experience where about halfway through a drama, things start getting really weird and the acting starts sucking and the plot goes haywire and you're like, what is going on? This drama was so promising.
For today's video, we're going to be talking about why this might be happening in Korean dramas, and we're also going to be talking about some of the factors in the Korean drama industry which are unethical and unhealthy to the cast and crew involved. Now, as a disclaimer, what we're going to talk about today does not represent every single Korean drama out there. What we're going to be talking about is only what we found in our research, as well as what we've discussed with some of our friends who are actually working in the Korean drama industry on some of the biggest dramas that you very well know, which I sure as hell am not going to name because defamation laws in Korea are really bad. So just say you know some of these dramas, but I'm not going to name it and you can't make me.
So let's start with the script writers, shall we? One of the biggest issues with Korean dramas is that the script writers don't often have a clear vision of what they're trying to put out there. They might start out with a clear concept, but after about 5 episodes are finished, things start getting fishy.
For example, let's say that a drama is supposed to air on March 1st. Production should probably start around the middle of January. And from the middle of January up until the beginning of March, you're going to make 4 really solid episodes. But once a TV show starts being aired, then the rest of the show is going to be dictated based on viewer response. And from March onwards, pretty much the show doesn't have as much time as it had in the first 4 episodes, nor as many resources, and everyone starts getting really tired by the end, which is why it really starts dropping off.
I just can't believe that at some point, as a writer, you have this concept of a plot, and then netizens online are like, I want these people to get together, or I don't like how this is going.
And you just agree with them for some reason.
And you just change it. Like,
why?
That's crazy.
That's terrible storytelling. I mean, like Game of Thrones, all of your favorite characters are dying, have died, or will die, and the writers don't give a shit about what you think. They're gonna give you the show and you're gonna love it, and guess what? You do love it.
Yeah.
Now, not only is the script constantly changing, the writers are also writing the script maybe like a few days up to a few hours before they start filming. This is all scrambling at the last minute to try to get everything done.
So the cast and the crew are often sitting around waiting for pages of the script to come through.
Literally, like, we live in Digital Media City in Seoul, and this is where most of the filming happens, and we always see the film crews at like midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. just sitting around waiting for the script to come in.
That's insane.
It's terrible.
It makes no sense.
And what's bad about this as well is that when the writers hand in the script, oftentimes they don't even hand it in chronological order. So at the beginning of the day, they might film scene 6 of an episode, but then they'll get the papers for scene 3 many hours later as the writers writing them. But the problem is that the actors will think to themselves, well, if I would have known what happens in scene 3, I would have acted differently in scene 6. So the actors can't really portray a consistent character at all, which is why the characters are being really weird and bizarre most of the time.
Okay, now I've got to say, like, as a Korean drama watcher, I can attest to this happening a lot, especially between a lot of weird, like, love plots or decision-making skills where somebody obviously did not like someone or was not interested in them, and then suddenly, like, 6 or 7 episodes in, they're interested in them, and you're like, I never saw that growing, blooming, like, I saw no connection.
There is no character growth, there is no character development. It's just like regurgitation of a line on the spot, and the actors can't really put themselves into the role.
One of my favorite examples is from the actor who starred in Queen of Ambition. He complained that they had been shooting the series finale 30 minutes up until it was aired. So you're filming the ending hasn't aired yet, and then 30 minutes beforehand,
you might as well just live stream it at that point. It's like, how do you even like have time to put together something good, to do anything good with it? You're just rushing it. It's just like high school essays just about.
Or university essays.
Well, I was at university, so I don't know about you.
Now we're hoping that this last minute script thing is going to change soon, because I recently heard in November there was an announcement that Kim Woo-bin and Suzy are going to be in a new drama, and it's going to be entirely pre-produced and shot before it airs.
So that whining babies on the internet can't ruin the script anymore. This is going to be supposedly a lot better.
Yeah.
Now, the last minute writing of scripts is just one of the issues that factor into the bad quality of some Korean dramas, but another huge issue is how often these shows are published. Oftentimes, Korean dramas have 2 episodes per week, which is not like what we're used to. Like for our favorite TV shows like Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones or whatnot, you usually get only 1 episode per week.
If you watch Sherlock,
you get like
9 episodes in the entire year.
And, not 9, 3 episodes.
Oh right, they made 9.
They've only made 9 for the entirety of the entire thing. But I want you to think about this. They are making 2 episodes per week. Each episode is roughly 60 minutes. 2 of those is 120 minutes. That is a Hollywood movie. That's a 2-hour movie every single week, done with the same cast, done with the same crew. This is exhausting and soul-crushing work.
Now, because they have to produce so much content per week, that means there isn't a lot of time for things like, you know, sleeping.
Or resting, or
eating.
going home to your family, or having a nutritious meal, or having any hobbies. All you do is pretty much work on set, 23 hours a day.
It becomes so extreme that it is totally common and acceptable for actors to have IV drips in order to get their energy back because they aren't consuming any food and they're totally exhausted. There have been many examples of people passing out on set, then getting an IV drip and going back, and everyone's like, good job, you can do it. So you guys know Song Ji-hyo from Running Man. There was an example of her filming on set and she had only slept 4 hours in 3 days and she ended up passing out from exhaustion. So she went to the hospital for an IV drip and the doctor was like, you really need to take some time off to rest.
The doctor told her specifically, you need to rest.
But you know what? She went back to set, then supposedly had an allergic reaction to the IV and had like shortness of breath and all this panicking. She sent back to the hospital. The doctor's like, you really need to not do this.
I'm not joking here. I went to university for this shit.
It's my degree.
Stop.
And she passes out again on set. Now what's weird about it is that when everyone found out about this online, people were like, she's so amazing. Like, look at her pushing through.
What really upsets me about this is when you see people online saying stuff like, fighting or you can do it. And they keep on encouraging their favorite actors to work through inhumane and completely unethical situations. People instead should be saying, this isn't right. I want you to quit and I want you to take care of yourself because I care more about you as a human than your character on television.
Back in 2011, there was an actress who was the main star of Young Will the Spy. You guys might remember this. She couldn't take the stress anymore of filming these insane hours.
Left.
She fled the country.
Yep.
She went to the States and she was there for 48 hours.
And people ripped into her. They said it was irresponsible for her. Like, what about her crew? It's selfish and this and that. Instead of saying to her, good for you for standing up against these terribly shitty and unreasonable conditions, they thought of her as selfish for this, which completely blows my mind.
Now, you guys might be feeling really bad for the actors, which I agree with, but I'll tell you who I feel worse for.
The film crew, who have it significantly worse than the actors, in my opinion. Now, here's some data as of 2013. 74.2% of all crews work more than 13 hours per day. Only 1.3% of them work 8 hours per day. That's a regular shift. Only 1.3% of the crew work a regular shift.
1.3, that even rounds down to 1.
Yeah,
it's like
99% of people work more than 8-hour shifts per day. And what's royally fucked up about this is that only 9.2% of them get overtime pay. 91% of them do not get paid overtime.
And when they say over 13 hours, we're not talking like 14 hours.
No,
we're talking like 23 hours.
Let me give you an example of this. What happens for some film crews is that they will start filming every day at 7 a.m. If they're supposed to film more than 24 hours, then they are going to work up until 6:45 a.m. the next day, 23 hours and 45 minutes. And then the production staff will say, okay, shift is over, come back in an hour or so. So they are essentially working more than 24 hours, but they are skipping that overtime pay by getting screwed over by the production team. And here's the kicker as to how shitty this is. These people are working insane hours, sometimes 23 hours per day for months and months on end. You know how much they get paid? $1,000 a month. For 23 hours a day, $1,000 a month.
Now you might be thinking to yourself, how can this be legal? So first you have to understand some terminology. You've got the broadcast companies themselves. That would be like KBS, SBS, like JTBC. Like these are the ones like NBC, they broadcast the TV shows.
Now these broadcasting companies will have a few of their own people working on the show, but they will also hire an outside production company to actually make the show for them.
Now that company is independent from the broadcasting company. They are the drama production crew, and then they will go on to hire the rest of the staff.
Now the vast majority of people that are hired by the production company are temporary workers on temporary contracts. So from our friend's drama that they were working on a set of 50, only 5 of them were working for the major broadcasting company, and 45 of them were actually temp workers hired from the production company.
Now since majority of the film crew is on a temporary contract, that means they have no legal rights to unionize themselves and call for better working conditions.
So basically, if any of the temp workers want better work conditions, they'll just get fired and somebody else will be hired that will accept these shit work conditions instead. So if you're asking how the exploitation of the film crew is legal, the big companies aren't liable for this. They're just paying a production company for a product, for a final drama, and to them, it's not their concern if it's given to them ethically or humanely. They're just paying money for a product.
But wait, you may be saying, why don't people actually protest against this? Like, how come they haven't come together? There are unions for the actors, and there are people that have protested. The problem is it hasn't made a change.
Back in 2012, actors in South Korea held a protest in Yeouido to ask that the broadcasters pay for their outstanding wages because they still weren't paid yet. The Korean Broadcasting Actors Union has actually asked for a standard contract that would guarantee these 3 things. Number 1, actors would be paid within 15 days of airing. Number 2, they will not be forced to film more than 18 hours a day. And number 3, they will guarantee that scripts come at the latest 3 days before shooting. However, the broadcaster said that this is impossible because it's unrealistic. Yes, it is unrealistic for you not to film at least 18 hours a day. This is outrageous according to the broadcasting companies. Can you believe it? How does the rest of the world survive like this?
I don't know. There's tons of TV shows that are super popular.
No, that's unrealistic. That doesn't happen. No way. That doesn't happen. Now, this isn't to say that South Korea is the worst country in the world when it comes to filming conditions.
No.
We have friends that work in the film industry in lots of other countries as well, and they have their own shares of problems as well.
LA and the Hollywood scene, we've heard so many scary stories.
We've had lots of friends that have actually fled the Hollywood scene as a result.
Yeah, but one of the things I will say is that over time, the complaints that people have been having about, work conditions or not being fed or like safety, slowly people start to chip away at it until they make a union or until you have to have this on set. And I think that change needs to start happening in Korea.
And some of you have asked why we don't do that much Korean TV. Well, I think you might kind of understand a little bit as to why.
Now, we've had some good experiences on
Yes,
Korean TV,
we have.
definitely. But the bad experiences were super scary and
They have
awful.
really soured a lot of our experiences, and we're really scared to do a lot of Korean
Yeah.
TV, so you might understand why we don't do that much of it anymore.
Yeah, so if you want to read about our stories about the experiences we had, which I realize we've never shared with people.
Yes.
Yeah, you can click here and take a look at our blog post and we'll tell you all about those scary stories.
Whoa.
So here's our question for you guys. For those of you that work in the film and TV industry, whether it be in Korea or outside Korea, are these experiences similar to you or have you had different, better, worse experiences?
Or if you've read anything about this online in your countries, we'd love to see what it's like in your country as well, so please leave a comment so we could have some points of comparison here.
Now, for those of you that are avid Korean drama viewers, we can feel this point here. What drama do you think went from good to awful just abruptly? And we're not talking about the Heirs because that was awful from the get-go.
From the start to finish, it was just terrible.
Hey, Lee Min-ho, I'm your white friend. Is that a bag of cocaine?
Let
I'm
me
gonna
snort
snuff it.
all this powder that you have.
It's bean powder. I'm allergic to bean powder. All Americans. We squeeze boobs and put things down
That was
shirts and snuff. That one doesn't even count.
Oh my god,
Episode
that was
1.
so bad.
I don't want to talk about that. I made it pretty far into that. I watched that drama with like a glass of wine.
You have the patience.
I didn't finish it because it was Lee Min-ho and I love Lee Min-ho. He was my
sorry.
favorite in Almost Paradise.
That was a big Eamon no.
Oh, it's pretty good.
That's right.